Oh yeah. So the bans are Rook and Bastion, two bans that we've seen quite a bit of. Bastion is easily one of the stronger tanks of the game, and Rook is easily one of the stronger carries of the game. Now, you know a little bit more about these teams. Are either of these bans specifically targeted?
The Rook probably is more of a targeted ban just because Lag plays a really good Rook, and they match Rook in with multiple different heroes. So he's just a very versatile pick for new teams. So I definitely can see the Rook being a viable ban.
Awesome. So already we have the picks. Bo was first picked, then new team picked Claudessa and Vex, and then back to PapaPls for Featherstone and Ray. So far, neither team has really shown too much of their hand, but new team did have the Vex pick, which to me it doesn't seem like they were forced into a Vex pick. So what do you really think about this? Is it just for the global control?
I feel like at this point in time they wanted that second kind of tanky person on their team because Hale has the, or sorry, Vex has the ability to kind of be that tanky power support type hero. He can be played in multiple different roles. He could just be that huge meat shield with utility with the shield that he has, or he can be that power, good support, good stats. A lot of his ratios are great. Um, and he has that global pressure from his ultimate. So I think that was a pick as far as they didn't want to get stuck or try to run like a Trixie or an Ace or a Tinder or something else to help support one of their side lanes.
Alright, sounds good. So, new team is now thinking over what else they want to pick. They still have not picked any hardcore AP, and they still haven't picked their hardcore AD, so I don't know if they'll pick both of those this round, but they're definitely going to have to go with one of those at the moment. But there are three spaces on their team for whatever they wish, and Vermilion is still up. Vermilion has been doing really well recently. Featherstone has been picked up, but there's also a chance that they might not actually take Vermilion now because there's not too much in terms of what Papa Please are going to pick away from them in terms of their 80 carries. It's possible that that might happen, and otherwise we might actually be able to see a Carter pick as well. Again, I don't know too much about what these teams like to play or what their players like to play, but Carter has been super strong so far.
Yeah, I think Carter is going to be a priority pick here in the next couple. Carter's one of those heroes that some teams prioritize as their top one and two picks, or he's that three and fourth pick status, and they prefer different heroes. But either way, he's just a solid, strong pick. Very versatile as far as being able to be played in multiple roles, different lanes. He's even been played with more of a supporty type role in supporting that AD and kind of laying out the poke. So he's a good pickup as far as trying to round out your comp and being able to kind of pick them and then decide what the other team's going to be running. So then you could try to counter other lanes.
Yep, and so Carter and Hale. So we knew the Carter pick was definitely one of high priority. Hale is also a really strong hero, so we'll see how he ends up doing. Now, again, Papa Please doesn't really have too much in the way of mobility, but they do have good counter engage. So if Ray can accurately predict when Hale goes in or anything like that, he might be able to get a stun down on Hale before Hale uses his ultimate, and that'll give the rest of his team definitely enough time in order to get away from the Hale ultimate once it pops. So, there's a little bit of counterplay there, and we also see Trixie being picked up by Papa Please as their last pick, so that could definitely be one of their other counter-engage options if Hale were to go ham.
Yeah, their Papa Pleases has a lot of versatility in their comp. They can send multiple heroes bottom depending on what new team decides to pick for their bottom. They can run a Featherstone bottom, they can run a Vern bottom, they can run Trixie bottom, all do fairly well against some of the people that new team can send bottom. Some are a little more skill matchup than others, but I think that new team's definitely going to show their hand here. Wow, and they
Harrower.
pick up the
Okay.
Harrower. That's interesting. I'm
So,
surprised
yeah.
with Blazer on the board why they didn't pick the Blazer, but I think they might be going for a Harrower Vex lane.
It also might be possible that they were holding out for Vermilion, and maybe, they didn't have a too much of a contingency plan there, but at this point they don't really have a hardcore ranged AD because Carter is a magic and Harrower is, as you said in one of the other games, someone who fulfills the AD bruiser role a little bit more than the AD carry role. So it's interesting to see how their team comp is going to work out now.
Yeah, I think it's very possible that new team is actually going to run a Claudessa Carter and a Vex Hale with a Harrower bottom. It's not bad. I know that PapaPls has run compositions very similar to this, and it worked out fairly well. The Vex is a great utility type poke hero that can kind of support that Hale and being able to pressure and farm. So I'm not exactly sure. I think that right now they can do a lot of things. It's going to be kind of unorthodox as per like metas and picks. The thing about Strife is you can run multiple things and make it work. So I think they're trying out new stuff specifically because this tournament is kind of that fun tournament to give people practice.
Definitely. So, one thing that we've talked about a lot over the past couple of games, because it is quite a big turning point in how many of these games, and by turning point, I just mean something that helps the game win. But who do you think has the better early game here? Because we've seen two teams manage to snowball their early game really, really easily. One team wasn't able to do it as well, and they actually ended up, they didn't on enough pressure on the other team. They didn't rotate as well as they could have. So. Who do you think wins the early game here?
It's extremely hard to say who wins the early game. I'm going to put the edge out towards PapaPls, which also scares me a little bit because going into late game, I feel like PapaPls has a strong late game comp as well with the double AD comps are just very strong. And the only reason why I give the early game kind of to PapaPls is the bow poke is strong, the Trixie poke is strong. If Trixie actually lanes with an AD, it's a good support, provides a lot of pushing pressure, a lot of poke pressure. The Ray is also a really strong engage, disengage, very good early game hero, scales fairly well into mid game. So on the other hand, you have the Carter, which is a late game hero. You have the Hale, which is a late game hero. You have the Harrower, which is another late game hero. So you want, as new team, to get to that late game, that 30, 40-minute game where your Carter is pretty close to full build. Your Hale is just a monster. Your Harrower can almost one-shot some of these carries. Like, that's where a new team wants to be. So PapaPls definitely, in my mind, has the early and the mid game. But new team wants to try to stall this game out and hopefully win the mid and early game and snowball. But if not, stall the game out to where those heroes reach that full potential that they essentially have and be in those late game carry burst heroes.
Definitely sounds like something that they're going to end up doing. So, we have double AD versus no full ranged AD, and here we go. The match is now in their actual picks, so these guys are hopefully going to pick the correct champions, and we can get directly into game after the pick phase is over. So, so far, looking at you guys voting, we have 8 votes for new team to win and 6 votes for PapaPls to win. And I actually, this is a best of 3 series, so teams can have a chance to win either 2-0 or 2-1. And I actually specified that in the poll as well. So 5 of you think that a new team is going to take the game 2-0. That's 37% of you. 3 of you think that new team is going to win 2-1, and then 3 of you think PapaPls is going to win 2-1, and 3 of you think PapaPls is going to win 2-0. So all across the board, it's fairly even, except a little bit of a spike in terms of the new team 2-0. So what do you guys think of those predictions? The chat
Those
predictions.
math skills, though.
I
No,
think
it actually
that
just says the percent next to the thing, so I
God
wasn't
damn it, I
actually
thought you'd
working
done
out
the
the
math.
percent. Like, no.
yeah, I think that both these teams have the potential to take a game off each other. So I would agree in the fact that it's going to be a something one or a 2-1. I don't know which team's going to win the 2-1 though. But my predictions is definitely going to be a 2-1. It's going to go to game 3 games.
Are you sure you can't call who it is?
I'm gonna go with I'm unsure. Both teams are good. I
You,
feel like
oh, that's the pussy answer.
Leap of
Yeah, there you
faith,
go. Come
man.
on, YOLO it.
all right. I'm gonna go with new team
All right, so he's
losing.
got. Oh,
Oh, Papa,
Yep.
please for the
you're
2-1.
doing like the
Papa,
game show
please.
thing. You're like, and it
Yes.
looks like you have not lost $1 million. You're still in the game or whatever. Like,
Yeah, exactly. So I do think Papa Please is probably going to win this in a 2-1, but that's me going out on a limb. Any team has the potential to win this. I'm really excited.
Got to be decisive. When I was doing my League of Legends Worlds bracket, it was like this. This is who's winning. This is what's going on.
Yeah, but
TSM, TSM, TSM.
I can't show favorites. Like I literally have I know that each team has good players and they are all capable of winning and carrying the game. So I'm willing to go out on a limb and say that Papa Please's roster is very strong, and I think that their team comp is also something that they could snowball really well into the late game. So I'm gonna go with Papa Please, because I think they are gonna dominate the early game and transition that into a mid and late game carry.
all right, that sounds like some good insight right there, and it's a little bit of overlay mishap right there. Let me fix that up real quick, and we should be fine now. Okay, we're good. So we can get in the game. A lot of food talk happening already.
Don't talk about food. I'm hungry.
They are talking about
it's
food.
not me. It's them in chat. See, they're
I
talking
know.
about food.
I'm hungry. They're making me sad. Well, we currently have both teams positioning far closer to their bases. Probably is not actually leaving the base. With wait, which is team's new team?
New team
Wait a
is the
minute.
red team.
Okay, I was right. Probably did not leave the base. New team is chilling in a bush just outside their base and posturing up. They've actually already sent their Harrower bottom, and it looks like Feder is on his way to go meet him.
So here's actually an interesting question, Lake. In terms of level 1 strategies, is there any sort of standard? Because in League of Legends, you basically look at all of your entrances to the jungle, but without a jungler in this game, that dynamic can change. Is basically super different. I've seen people try to go for bushwhacks. I've seen people try to go for early observer wards. Is there some sort of general thing that certain people like to do?
The only thing that is currently kind of viable within the early level 1 is the fact that you try to scout where the other team's going. As far as lane compositions go, because you want to match your best competition or your best lane comp versus as possible. So you'll see a lot of teams try to get early scouting done to figure out who's going where. Like in all honesty, I really feel like the Hail Vex probably didn't want to go against the Trixie Verm, but because they weren't able to get that scout out, it doesn't look like they're going to have a very easy time in lane together.
Knew a lot of damage there going down onto Vermilion. Fallout from the Hail, a little bit more damage. One more basic attack, but that's going to be Trixie coming in with that Cauldron and a perfect laser. A little bit more damage. She possibly could have brought down that Hail Verm, looking to start regenning from out of combat, but this Vex does not want to give him the chance to. He's going to start to chase Trixie out. Trixie looking to start the trade, and he's going to dash right on top of Vermilion. Vermilion going to get under the tower. The rocket isn't enough to finish him off. Now Hail comes in on top of Trixie. One more basic attack. That wasn't enough. It needed, I guess, to be two. And that's going to be the mana potion running for this Vermilion. He needs to be careful because if Vexing it on top of him, that's going to be the end of him. Meanwhile, on top lane, a little bit of aggression. The bow throw comes out, doesn't land on anything, and this mid lane is just full of action.
Oh yeah, the mid lane has been so very, very full of action, like you said, and you know, there hasn't really been a decisive outcome yet, but it looks like New Team has gotten control of the lane for the time being. You know, they've scared PapaPls off, and so if PapaPls decides to step up for some last hits, Vex can easily send some rockets their way, do quite a bit of damage, so they're actually going to have to miss out on quite a bit of CS just to make sure that they can get that out of combat regen, and now Wubby is ready to get back into the action. They're probably going to let him CS for a little bit while Deus Fable does his own regeneration.
Well, he did pop a potion there to help keep himself alive. Takes a little bit of damage, but he should be safe for the moment, at least while they're farming under tower.
Definitely. So, in the bottom lane we have Featherstone against Harrower. Oh, in the top lane, little bit of action happening as a bunch of trades go down, and Ripa gets taken down fairly low. And back in the mid lane, there's another engagement.
Vermilion really, really low. He ate a ton of missiles to the face, but that is the Cauldron and the laser. A little bit more damage onto the hill. One more basic attack. The G-Shot is going to pick up the kill. And now Vermilion and Trixie trying to bring down this Vex. They need a little bit more damage. The Cauldron isn't there. A nice slow comes out from the... Oh, nice combination between the slow from the Bounder and the Cauldron out of Trixie.
No doubt. Very good play. Wubby has been on point with landing his Cauldrons. The thing about one of the Cauldrons is that you can actually cast it a lot shorter than its max range, and it'll bounce multiple times in along a shorter distance. And she's done that a few times to make sure that she gets all 3 bounces on one of the enemy heroes. So that's a really good play right there by her. So we have a little bit of trading in the top lane, a couple of stuns going down, but oh, another aggressive play in the mid lane. Hale is going to be able to disengage that a little bit, but the laser taking Burrow Lemon down really, really low. So high action all across the board, and I almost want to see a little bit of new team just taking it back, relaxing a little bit more, and Borolem is taken down extremely low. A couple of more auto attacks, one more, and it's going to be the last auto attack. There we go. Turning onto Hale at this point. They're not going to get him, but as I said, you know, new team is probably going to want to just try to take the take it a little bit more smoothly, calmly, defensively in the early game mid lane. Lake, what do you think of that?
So I really feel like they played it fairly well, levels 1 through 3, kind of being in their face. They do have the shield. Vex's shield is extremely strong, especially early game. So they're playing it well, kind of being in their face, winning those trades. But at a certain point, you got to respect Trixie's pot shot and her laser, her E. And if you don't, you're just going to take a lot of damage, and that's what they're doing. They're taking a lot of damage, sustained damage coming from the Trixie with the really good pot shots, and then that Verm just not being scared to kind of be in there and just trade efficiently and kind of kite out some of that melee damage from Hale.
Yeah, Deus Fable has been all over using those, but oh, a nice hook in, catches Ray out a little bit. He's going to take quite a bit of damage, and oh, they're turning it back onto Claudessa.
Yep, the stun came out from Ray. Bo wasn't able to follow that up, and Ray didn't have ultimate to really... Or does Ray have ultimate? I think Ray does, yeah. Ray
had action happening as Vex tries to go in for Deus Fable. One more auto attack. He's still just barely getting away with the tiniest bit of health.
Oh my god, that's the second time Fable has been just one auto attack away from dying, and he just happened to survive again this time. That's completely unfortunate, but at the same time, it's alleviating some of that pressure in the mid lane. You're letting that Hale get the free farm. You're trying to get those levels. You want Vex to be able to kind of get 6 and ult in and put a lot of pressure. And like the bot lane is so overextended right now. I think when Vex hits 6, he might be taking a trip down there to get some kills.
So yep, engagement in by the Trixie onto that Hale, taking him very, very low. Now they've turned their attention onto the Vex. He's laying out those rockets and keeping himself safe for the moment.
So Harrower versus Vex, or sorry, Harrower versus Featherstone. What do you think of this matchup? Like, who's meant to win it? Because they both have quite a bit of poke.
I would say that Featherstone wins the matchup. The shield is strong. It's a good counter for the Wolves. And with the Wolf nerf, Featherstone just has a lot of potential to trade, especially with the Q slows. It kind of helps does the shred that it needs to help burn through some of the Harrower if he decides to build some tanky stats.
Oh, Vex. He's got to be careful.
Yeah, I'm like in between, like watching this bot lane, like seeing how the matchup's going, and then in the mid lane, you just see so much action. Like the cameras just almost has to be glued here because they're just going at each other's throats.
No doubt.
Teleport back into lane from this Vex right into the action, follow up by the Hale. They weren't able to do that much damage to them, and a nice ultimate comes out of Hale. The ultimate from Trixie was there, but they were able to sidestep that. A little bit more damage. The slow comes out of the Vex, and that's going to be the double kill, or no, 1 kill apiece, finally coming out for the side of new team. They really managed to get past the aggression of PapaPls. Now a nice hook up in the top lane. Claudessa tries to go forward. The Ray stun goes down. and that's going to zone them out as Bo backs up. The rocket is going to hit him, and I think that this Carter wants to finish the job. He gets Bo very low. The healing totem is there, but Carter didn't have the rocket. Throws one down the line, hits the Ray way in the back underneath the tower. That's probably not going to transition to anything, but it may result in some additional tower pressure, and Bo throw comes out. He'll clear out a portion of the wave. I think top lane will be safe for the moment.
And in terms of mid lane, they were setting up for a bushwhack, but they're not going to quite be able to get it. So if we take a look at the score right now, we have 2 kills on the side of PapaPls and... Or, sorry, 3 kills on the side of PapaPls and 2 on the side of New Team. So if we take a look at the gold, it's very, very even. Definitely one of the closer games we've seen so far, and we do have a pause, so every team is allowed, I believe, 3 5-minute pauses. So that's just to make sure that we keep the action going as much as possible, and we'll hopefully get back into the action as soon as we can. But in the meantime, Lake, what do you notice about this game so far? Like, what are both teams doing well? What are things that they could improve on?
Just real quick, can you click on the GPM so people can kind of see the overall GPM of all the heroes? I think that was something that was requested. Awesome. And then going into it, like, this mid lane has just been at each other's throats. Like, I've been sitting here just kind of watching it, all the lanes, and just there's so much action happening in the mid lane. They are not afraid to trade. And unfortunately, that can almost be disastrous in the fact that you're letting the Hail, Verm's getting the farm, right? He's keeping that GPM up, but you're also letting Hail get to that point too. So right now, this mid lane matchup, they're just going at each other's throats, so much so that the Vex actually hasn't been able to leave. So I think that that's a really good thing that PapaPls is doing, is just keeping the pressure mid lane so the Vex can't affect other lanes with this global.
Yeah, if Vex goes back, I can definitely see a lot of damage coming down on the mid lane tower, because Hale's not quite at the point yet where he can really defend a tower very well against 2, because especially these 2 who have escapes, they're going to be doing really well against Hale, and as a last resort, they can always use the polymorph ultimate.
Yeah, a little bit of a baited engage there. Hale stepped forward, tried to bait out a few skills up in top lane. Just continued aggression. This is really where a New Team is laying in their aggression in top lane, whereas in mid lane, it's really on the side of PapaPls. So I'd say one lane apiece, sort of going even. Like, which do you think is the more important lane for them to really be controlling?
Definitely, and we see that they do have as much control over it as they possibly can. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, the Harrower Featherstone matchup is still going. They're just farming it out as much as they can. 451 for Featherstone and 461 for Harrower, so this is just about an even matchup down here. Meanwhile, Vex gets poked out very, very low in the mid lane.
Yeah, he almost got completely destroyed there. I'm surprised. He really needs to back. Granted, he has been chugging potions the entire time, but that's starting to cut into his gold. Ton of damage down there from Trixie in the combination with that pot shot and the laser. And now Verm trying to finish the job. Trixie is going to have to dive under the tower. Verm has gone down. She'll pick up that kill. Barrow rolls out, now being chased down by this Hale. I don't think he's going to be able to do anything to her, so it's going to be the 1-for-1 trade. And, the aggression, the fighting continues.
Yeah, and meanwhile the bot lane is still just a farm lane, so very big contrast in that respect. Oh my god, Dash is burned top.
Yep, Ray's gonna try and lay down the stun, and here comes our first Vex ultimate in. It's gonna be Carter falling down under the tower, but they're gonna be able to bring in Vex to pick up the kill onto the Ray. Now on Bo, he's out of mana, one nice hook in by the Claudessa, but Trixie has rotated up, lays in the pot shot, the shield comes out from Vex, but I don't think that's going to save him. She uses the laser, 1 or 2 more basic attacks, and she'll be able to finish off the job. He's going to get under the tower, now they turn on to the Claudessa. Bo is essentially out of mana. Vermilion thought about roaming up, but is transitioning back into the middle lane, as no one is going to be able to pick up a kill, and he wants to avoid letting Hale get too much damage onto that tower.
And you can definitely tell of the skill of both of these teams with the amount of rotations and counter rotations that have been happening. Vex runs over to the top lane, and then Trixie follows up directly afterwards, and they're able to almost get a return kill there. So these teams are pretty evenly matched so far, and you can still see that reflected in the GPM.
Moobot needs editing. Bad Moobot. Bad Moobot from an old tournament. Shame on Moobot. Either way, a ton of damage down onto this Vermilion. He got destroyed as Carter was able to rotate in for the play. And yeah, I'm gonna see if I can rectify Moobot's transgressions.
Yeah, we recently ran a 1v1 League of Legends tournament for Alienware, and we forgot to take that command down for Moobot, so we'll get that rectified fairly soon. And in the meantime, we see just normal poking out. Bot lane still, nothing has happened there. Speaking of nothing happening bot lane, do you think anyone's going to try to go and gank bot lane to try to force some action down there, or are people just going to keep focusing on top and mid?
I think that there's just so much action happening in the top and mid lane right now, and the bot lanes are doing fine. They're trading fairly well. They both are fairly even in GPM. I think they're going to leave these guys down here to kind of be on their island while the rotations happen around the top and mid lanes.
So if both of those bot laners get their fair laning, if they get their CS, if they get, you know, their 480 GPM, who comes out
goes
ahead?
Hale. He's going to get the knockup down onto this Vermilion. A little bit more damage. Nice ultimate out of Trixie, but I still think that's going to be the end of this Vermilion. Now the slow is going to land onto Trixie. She'll dash away. And meanwhile, up in top lane, I can never tell what's going on in this top lane. It's such an aggressive combination, but they just keep running away from each other all the time.
Yep. So back.
Yeah,
to
they're
the,
essentially just trading back and forth, kind of like trying to poke each other out. Not like top lane, no one's really accomplishing anything. They're essentially just trading us pretty evenly, and both are very similar in farm.
So going back to the bot lane, if everything is completely even and they both get whatever farm they want, who's going to come out ahead? Like, who's going to be better late game?
So Harrower always has the
Again,
potential to one
in
shot.
the middle. Vex gets the destroying combination that's going to blow up this Vermilion. We can't talk about anything, guys. We have to watch the middle lane.
So much action.
God, Boromac is on fire right now. Between like both these guys or all four of these guys in the mid lane, they're just so open to just killing. So I think the best time to talk is when everyone's dead in mid lane.
Yeah,
so,
no doubt.
So back to it, Harrower has the ability to get to that late game almost one-shotting type style of these carries, but Featherstone just does tons of AoE damage late game, just huge like burst sustained damage from the Featherstone. It depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Overall, I feel like I would be a little more scared of the Featherstone getting evenly fed over the Harrower getting fed, just because of the way the comps are set up, because they're relying on the Harrower to do a lot of the damage, not really be the burst damage. So there's not that sustained damage coming out from new team.
Seeing a little bit of a possible skirmish up here near the top lane near Baldir, but doesn't look like anything is necessarily going to be happening yet, but they are still keeping as many people up here as possible. Now Vex is in the mid lane, so that sort of puts them on a timer. Here goes the initiation.
Yep, tried the attempted stun on the Claudessa. Goodbye, Ray. That's going to be Carter picking that up pretty much for free. He got to just land those triple rockets and finish the job. That was a pretty quick kill pickup, and I thought that was going to turn into a fight. They landed the stun around Claudessa, but she couldn't, actually follow up. They couldn't follow up and actually kill her.
Yeah, and as I was saying, Vex being mid basically put PapaPls on a timer up there. They had to make something happen soon because they were missing out on the mid lane experience while their enemies were getting it. That was a big factor of what happened in the last game, was that they just weren't able to evenly distribute all of the gold and experience across the map. So it's definitely a good play over there. But Vex is being chased out now. They might be able to catch him.
Yeah, Trixie lands the laser, but can't follow up with much more. Now Bo under pressure, Claudessa and Hale trying to finish him off. Hale. God, that name. Hale is gonna dash forward, and get himself out of trouble. Not sure why that was such a challenging word to say.
I feel like Hale should stare you in the eyes right now and say, "Do you know who I am?"
You must not know who I am.
Like, bro, do you even know who I am? I am Hale, the ultimate engage carry.
And he does engage.
He may be looking to engage again. He's rotating in towards this middle lane. Gonna go back to back up his buddy Vex and run straight in on Trixie. No, he's gonna play it safe for a little while.
And bot lane is still being bot lane, level 12 to level 12. Harrower is
I just assume that
getting a little
Dyrus
bit
is in the
better
bot
GP.
lane and just never gonna talk about it. It's like,
Yeah.
there's something down there. Oh, yeah, it's whatever.
Ooh, Bo's
But
looking to catch
Bo
Claudessa.
gets off an aggressive play. Is gonna get the ultimate back on the card. The Ray ultimate comes through. That's gonna do a ton of damage. Out comes the stun, and that's gonna be Vermilion doing a ton of damage to pick up that kill. And now Vex coming in, he is going to get the slow down onto a couple of targets. The healing totem goes down, but Claudessa is very low. They're going to need to be careful. Ray is looking to finish her off. Vex is going to get the Vermilion, but that's going to be another 1-for-1 trade, a 2-for-1 overall. Vex may have come in to help, but it didn't do as much as they had hoped. Hale is in the mid lane. God, this is going to be a problem. This is actually going to be a problem. Hale is in the mid lane
earlier too, like. And you
he has been played earlier. I don't know why this is suddenly an issue. He's going to try and put some pressure down in the middle lane. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, Vex taking a ton of damage. That Ray looking to finish him off. Didn't have a Spider Mine there to do the job. And bot lane stuff.
So if we take a look at the gold graph, early on, PapaPls was over to a little bit of an advantage, but it's quickly swung to new team. And now they're about 2,700 gold ahead, which is by no means an impossible difference to make up. It's actually something that just a few plays can actually get you back into the game there. But
Here comes the team rotation into the bottom lane. Featherstone gonna get dived. Hale's gonna go under the tower. He popped, I believe, the slow off of his item, please. Anybody?
I don't know.
Everwinter Charm.
Yeah. And actually, that many members bot lane is gonna turn into PapaPls going for a early Baldir.
Yeah, and they managed to take that very quickly before anyone actually ended up figuring out what's happening. But Hale looks like he wants to come down to the bot lane once again and see what he can do here. Vex already teleported in.
Yep, right on top of the Vex, he's going to be able to dash in. Pops out Everwinter Charm again. They do get the slowdown. Vermilion was looking to get the stun off, but it's got to be that last rocket that picks up the kill. He's going to go down. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, Trixie's really, really low. Carter must have landed a couple of really well-placed shots to drop her low. That's going to be the bottom tower going down in favor of new team, and their two remaining members should be able to pressure at mid. Ray is rotating top to possibly take that tower. Down goes that bottom tower, and that's going to be a huge gold swing in favor of new team.
Yeah, and the gold graphs now, they look even more in favor. It's edging towards 3,500 now, and it's still going down. So that's something that's really going to be working in favor for new team as they look like they're setting up a
Trixie is going to throw down that pot shot to slow everybody down. That was beautifully done. But Bo now possibly caught out a lot of abilities being used to try and chase him down. Many slows, but nothing going to land, and it's probably going to be a siege setup now.
Yeah, between both these teams right now, there's still a lot of gold on the map. Top towers, both the outer turrets are both up. There's Baldir just got taken by PapaPls, and they're at the point right now where they can kind of start setting up these rotations, split pushing with the Vex, kind of keeping pressure on that tower, because essentially Vex is going to gain a lot from sitting in that top tower. He's going to get the free farm. He's going to kind of force someone to come up there at some point, or they could just give it up and just let Vex just free push this tower, which you're not going to do. It looks like they are going to send the Vern back up there to kind of help keep that tower alive and put that farm back on one of their carries while they sit there and wait for a period in time which they're probably going to fight. And I'm assuming it's going to be probably over another global objective like Baldir.
Yeah, and one really cool thing about Vex is that now that his ultimate's up, he can split push top as much as he wants, and as soon as his team needs him, he can just teleport into the back line or wherever he wants into the fight. So that's something that'll really play to his advantage coming into the sort of split pushing pressure game that people end up playing towards the late game. So we'll have to see how that works out as well. They might want to just try to bait out the ultimate so that he won't have it at some point.
Oh, up in the top lane, huge. Just this Vex is insanely strong. I didn't even get a chance to talk about that. He's just like, I'm gonna walk at you and you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Well, he did end up picking up the Hexbane, so that actually allows him to trade very efficiently with some of these ADs. They definitely rely on the sustained damage. Vex has a lot of sustained damage and a good amount of burst damage as well. So being able to Hexbane one of those carries, them not having a way to get out of it, is huge.
So it looks like Baldir is going to be taken for new team this time. They're gold lead right now. And if we check the graphs, as soon as Baldir goes down, we'll see that they are a little under 4,000 gold ahead, which, you know, that margin is slowly increasing and increasing as these guys just basically choke out PapaPls and just try not to give them any sort of way to come back into the game. So when we talk about that, what do you want to see from PapaPls in order to get back in?
So they both have really good comps. They need to watch the hard engage coming from the Hail. Hail hit that point where he was able to get tons of farm. They were trading back and forth very evenly in that mid lane, and Hail is essentially just building tank. So his only job is going to be that hard engage, get in, Q in, ultimate, get a W off, auto, W, auto, and essentially that's his job. His combo, that's what he's going to be used for, to soak up that damage. So PapaPls really has to work on their positioning. They have the double AD, they have a lot of sustained damage, they have good disengage with the Trixie and the Ray. I think that PapaPls at this point in time can still team fight. It's not outside the question. I don't feel like new team has the advantage 100%. They do have a small gold advantage, but 4K in Strife isn't really that big of a deal when you consider it spread out across 5 different heroes.
So each hero is only going to have, you know, about one component above their opponents.
Exactly. So in Strife, that's not a big deal. In other MOBAs, it is. Like a team having a 4K difference is a big deal. But in Strife, those items aren't that impactful to the point where a 4K difference is that huge.
Yeah, huge damage going on to this Trixie. Bo pushing into the tower. Meanwhile, a little bit lower, it's gonna be this Featherstone finally falling. You know, they've only really been able to kill him once. Nice combination in from the Harrower, and I think that's gonna be an aggressive Syndara.
Oh yeah, they look like they're going to try to rush this down, but definitely PapaPls know about this. Can they really do anything though? I think they're going to be able to burn down Syndara before PapaPls really get there and can contest it at all. And there we go. And there's still one man down, so let's see what this team fight happens. Looks like everyone's just going to disengage. And that is a smart idea by new team. They don't want to try to force anything that they're not positive that they can get. Just trying to methodically end this game by increasing the gold difference little by little and taking map objectives little by little.
Yeah, at this point, it's very safe to say, especially because both teams are extremely good, that this game is not decided right now. It's very much even. PapaPls' GPM has not dropped below 400 this entire game, so they're still getting the components and the items that they need on their team. I think this with this Syndara fight and Krydos pushing down middle is going to be a huge deciding factor of where this game's going to be. And I feel like PapaPls at this point just needs to play it safe, try to kill Krydos as he pushes down that mid lane without taking any deaths.
Yeah, and Trixie's actually doing a fairly good job at that too. The laser is going to be able to stay on Krydos for quite a bit of time, and it does a lot of damage considering the length of the DOT, but we have a couple of stuns coming out. We might see an engage pretty soon. There goes Krydos to disable the tower.
Hail gets stunned right as his ultimate's about to go out. A lot of damage down onto this Vermilion. He's going to get off a nice ultimate and slow them down. Pot shot over the wall as well as the laser to stop the aggression. Krydos has gone down, so that was pretty ineffective. They were able to pick up one tower, but I feel like they could have gotten that without the Kratos. They're going to rotate onto Baldir, and good play on PapaPls not to lose any members.
Now, the fact that new team is going to be able to rotate for Baldir, like they've taken PapaPls down low enough in health and sent one of them back, gives them a little bit more map control so that they can do that. So the Syndara was still pretty good effect for them, and they're actually going to rotate for top tower now as well.
Yeah, as far as the way that fight played out, couldn't have been any better for PapaPls. The whole objective in that fight was to kill Krydos and not take deaths. They lost 2 towers because of it, but it's not that big of a loss. You had Krydos pushing down middle. The potential to have that fight snowball the game was there, and they were able to stall out that game, or stall this game out by taking out Krydos and not losing any members. So PapaPls has some fight in them, and I think we're going to see some more action with this bow coming in. I think that the comps are going to start to mold out fairly evenly here soon.
Definitely agreed. So, Hale looking to see if there's anything he can pick up. He's got the sentry tower, and seeing if there's anything he can force a pick off of, because both teams have really good pick potential. Ray's stun can be can do a really good job at that, and on top of that, PapaPls just has a lot of burst. But new team also has the Hale Harrower burst combo assassin sort of thing, which really helps them make picks as well. So we're also seeing Vermilion down in the bottom lane to basically counter push the Vex. However, again, Vex can teleport top whenever he wants, which is something that's really strong, and he can force a 5 if a fight were to break out. So that's really something that PapaPls have to worry about, and they basically have to make sure that they don't get in a fight unless it's a really decisive fight for them.
A little bit of action down in the bottom lane for Million, looking to pick the fight with Vex. I think he's just trying to keep him low so that they can engage Herald over a little bit under that tower. But the wave getting cleared out by this Trixie, who has a pretty insane amount of wave clear at this point. The wave isn't lasting very long, at least not enough for them to be able to stack it up. New team is able to clear out their wave quickly, but once it gets under the tower, they don't feel confident making that dive, even with their gold advantage, which just shows you how close the game actually is. Normally with this much of a gold advantage in other game, you'd be diving. Meanwhile, down in the bottom lane, out comes that Everwinter Charm, plus that Hexbane. Nice ultimate out of Vermilion's going to keep him alive. But this could free up Vex for the teleport in. And there's the call from the team. A nice knockback is going to hit onto the Fetterstone. In comes the Vex ultimate. He hasn't landed just yet. There he is. Hale trying to get on top of the Fetterstone. They should be able to pick him up. Now Hale in a little bit of trouble. Nice pot shot comes out. The Ray ultimate is there. He's going to dash away. Hale continuing to chase. He should be able to get him. No, he's going to be forced to turn off. And Vermilion has joined up with the team, but that is going to be one and the tower in favor of new team.
Wow, Boro Mac or Boro Lemon. Let me change that. I think he changed his name to kind of copy my friend Tom here, but he was the MVP in that fight. The fact that he was actually able to take Vermilion down so much to where he had to back and then immediately ult in on a awesome setup dive, kind of get in that back line, do the damage he needed to do. He just completely bursted the back line of PapaPls. Boro Mac, MVP of that fight. Very well done.
Yep, and the casters, I am Azaraki Dragon. Casting with me is Lake from our Strife team. Very, very awesome player and very good analysis. And then the Source over here, who's been casting with me for quite a while. We started out in League of Legends, and this is actually our first cast of Strife. So if you guys have any feedback, we'd love to hear it. Meanwhile, both teams are looking to set up for a mid lane fight. Basically, new team is looking to push it, and PapaPls definitely wants to defend this. Otherwise, they're going to give up a free generator, which is never what you want to do. So Vex is going back to the top lane. He's going to start pushing. He's also got teleport boots as well. So he's looking to just split push all day and suddenly be wherever he wants to be. And so far, PapaPls maybe a little bit of indecisiveness there. They try to go top lane for a little bit to try to catch out Vex, but they realize, alright, the rest of the team's going bot. Maybe we should stop them as well. So what do you do in a situation like this if you were PapaPls?
So if you're PapaPls, you gotta try to force or make the Vex waste his ultimate, knowing that Krydos is up and this Vex can essentially 1v1 someone that you're about to send up in the top lane. PapaPls is on the back foot no matter what because of how big this Vex is, and there's no one to deal with it. So essentially, you really got to try to bait that Vex into using his stuff, which I think they might try to do. They're like, hey, if you want to sit around the Syndara, we're just going to go ahead and push this mid lane.
But here's the engaged Vex coming in from the backside. So much damage came in from the Carter. That is going to be Ray being destroyed by the Claudessa. Now onto the Fetterstone. He's going to take a lot of damage. The ultimate came out of Carter, and it looks like down on the bottom side end, we have a pause. So I have a minute to say that Bo is getting destroyed, and I think that Ray just went down. No. Vermilion just went down. Fetterstone's about to get taken out by the Hale, who's popped his ultimate. Carter is lining up a few more shots, and Bo is being chased out by the Vex and the Harrower, which is a lot of slow on just two champions, heroes.
It looks like we got some Rip Boro in chat, so I think I think he might have DC'd for a second, so hopefully we'll get him back into the game, because this game is looking very good for a new team. Also,
Actually, they're calling GG.
are they? Okay, so
Um,
Papa Please just said, yeah, just go on to the next game. So they're able to just call that surrender vote. Not really surrender vote, but they all agree to surrender, and that is game one for new team. Very convincing play by them, making sure that they have so much pressure all over the map.
messing up
Wa-
my casting flow. Those players.
Wow. So I definitely thought that any team had the advantage or the ability to take a game off of each other. I did not, however, think that that was going to be such a decisive win for new team by any means. I thought it was going to be fairly even, but it up until a certain point it was. But Boromac, his Vex play was so strong in that like two team fights in a row. He was actually able to 1v1 the Vermilion. I think it happened three times within the match where they were like, hey, we're going to send Vermilion to deal with the Vex. And Vex is like, all right, fine. And he 1v1s them, kills them, and then ults in and kind of starts the fight. So Boromac's play on Vex was by far what turned that game from a slightly even matchup to new team kind of running away with it.
Alright, so we're going to transition to a little bit of commercials here while we get ready for the second best of three, or second game in the best of three, for the finals between Papa Please and New Team. New Team took game one, but stay tuned to figure out who wins the entire series. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Strife Test Tournament from Surreal Productions. We are in the second game of this best of three between New Team and PapaPls. So, New Team took game one after a pretty convincing win, and they were able to win quite a bit with the Vex pick, which, as we can see, is banned this time. So they definitely, PapaPls definitely decided that the Vex was worth the ban.
So in the past, Vex used to be one of those heroes that we used to ban out pretty consistently in competitive play. Just his split push potential, his ability to support some of those other ADs in the game. His shield is strong. His kit is very useful. He kind of fell out of favor of the ban, and he kind of fell out of favor of being picked as well. Well, Boromac last game just showed why Vex is one of the top contended heroes in the game, and PapaPls did not want to deal with it again, so they gave the respect ban out to Vex. In the meantime, they realized that New Team picked the Bastion, so they picked up the double tanks coming from the Bow Claudessa. I wouldn't be surprised if they were to pick another Hail on New Team as another initiation, but they don't necessarily have to because they do have that Bastion. He's a good initiator all by himself. They can definitely open up with picking some other supporty heroes. You have a good Tender. You have Trixie. You do have the Hail. Shank can also be picked up as well. So I'm interested to see what New Team does.
With the Bow Claudessa, would you want more of a, say, for example, a double AD carry comp where you have two people who deal a lot of damage over time and can sort of shred those, like, say, Vermilion Fetter or maybe even Blazer? Was that something that we might see?
So I definitely expect a single AD in PapaPls' comp with the Bow Claudessa. That's great.
I mean,
I definitely would. Oh, against the Bow Claudessa, a double AD comp isn't exactly what you need. You can easily defeat a Bow Claudessa comp with a good set of CC. So like a Ray and a good Malady can actually do a great job, with the Malady wall being a great way to kind of stop the Bow initiation and the Claudessa running in. And then on top of that, you also have the Ray stun. It does a good job trying to disrupt that 1-2 punch of Bow's initiation with the Claude follow-up. So you don't necessarily need the double AD. You could, but I don't expect them to run a double AD, but I've been wrong all day, so who knows?
Alright, well, speaking of, well, that actually sounds kind of bad. Speaking of being wrong all day, who do you think will win this game? Because before you said, it's probably going to be a 2-1. These teams are both playing really well, but looking at New Team's decisive victory in the first game, do you think it's still going to be 2-1, or do you think New Team's going to take this 2-2 or 2-0?
I still think it's going to be a 2-1. So Strife is won a lot of the time, especially in high competitive matches, in the ban pick phase. The ban pick phase is, as in most MOBAs, a huge portion of competitive play. And I feel like people weren't ready for the Vex pick from New Team. Now that they banned it, I think that they kind of are going to be ready for majority of the stuff New Team's going to be able to throw at them. And because they're both really good teams, I don't expect PapaPls to get wiped or swept in this series. I definitely think that PapaPls, with the picks that they have right now, has the potential to pull a game off a New Team.
All right, sounds good. So a New Team is now lolling over their next two picks. They first pick Bastion, so they have some pretty decent engage. They could go with a follow-up engage. They could go with someone else who has engaged themselves. As you said, a lot of possibilities that you can run with Bastion. Bastion really doesn't lock you down into any sort of comp, because Bastion can work in a pick comp. It's a little hard because you really need to land your skill shot, but it still works really well. Teamfight comps, definitely, Bastion's really good at that, and Bastion's pretty good all around. So unless they're going for a straight up hard pick, I think the Bastion pick is really going to benefit them in any way possible. So we might. I don't know. I'm not sure what they'll end up pick.
With the Bastion, you have the ability to run a hard engage comp, a poke comp, and a siege comp, because Bastion's skills are there's so much utility on him. He has that shield to allow you to siege and poke out at towers. He does have the ability to kind of all in with his skill shot stun. He does have his ultimate. It's a very versatile pick as far as the tanks go. So the Bastion can essentially match up with like a Carter Trixie, kind of having that poke and siege type potential. Or they could go with like an engage with the Bastion and a Hail and kind of be that all-in front line. So the doors are kind of open, I guess you would say, for new team as far as what they want to do with their picks.
Right, and it looks like they've already went with Carter, so again, as you were saying, a lot of siege potential there. If you're caught under tower against a Carter, and you don't have a reliable minion wall in your way, then you're probably going to end up getting hit by a bunch of rockets, which end up doing a ton of damage, and basically just discourage your team from engaging, because if those rockets landed on the right targets, there goes half your health in just half a second from extremely long range poke. It's a really good ability to have, and really helps them with siege comps. So if they were to go for a full-on siege, who would be the best sort of ranged carry to pick? Or would you want to just go for just long-range poke stuff like Blazer and Trixie, and maybe not even go for a full AD carry?
So if I were to build a comp right now on a new team and what they have and what's available, obviously it's dependent on what PapaPls picks. But if I were to just build straight off of what the build off the Bastion Carter and pick the next 3 picks, I would maybe go for like a possibility of a Verm Trixie Fetter. You could also run the Blazer Trixie. You could run a Tinder in that mix too, because Tinder has great siege potential as well. Probably one of the strongest, but Trixie also has the heavy push potential and the poke potential as far as fighting over some of those neutral global objectives like Baldir and Sindara.
Alright, and it looks like they will be going for Featherstone, so another pretty good siege potential right there. He can steal power away from other people. He's got quite a bit of AoE damage, which also procs on towers. So, which I believe it procs on towers. So if Featherstone hits a tower while that ability is active, everyone around the tower also gets damaged as well. If I recall correctly.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's going to be something that increases their siege potential by quite a bit. And so, what do PapaPls pick to come back or to basically pick against this? They already have the Bow Claudesses, so really tanky, but what do you think they're going to pick for their damage?
So it's wide open. You can run multiple things. You have Malady, you have Ray, you have Vermilion, you have Blazer, and those are all good heroes that you can run in combination with your Bow and Claudessa in those top and mid lane. And because there's really the potential of Carter going bottom, yes, that's there, but there's a lot of potential for PapaPls to be able to kind of stall their bottom lane pick and kind of pick some of those picks that they just got now, which is the Blazer Malady, which I kind of expected. I actually expected more of a Vermilion over a Blazer, but the Blazer fits some of their play styles from PapaPls.
Okay, I see that. So, is there going to be a Ray in this game, do you think? Does that benefit either team? Or is that just something that's not going to happen with the comps?
No, I think the Ray can definitely be a viable pick for new team. They can definitely just send Carter bottom instead of running him in a lane, and then go ahead and pick up that Ray for maybe mid lane with your support still on the table. New team has the option to run multiple different supports on their side. They can run it Lady Tinder. They can run a Trixie. I mean, they don't even have to do that. They could even go in and run a Hail Carter lane, or there's just tons of options within Strife. And because their hero pools are very strong, they can just pretty much play almost anything and make it work, as long as there's the fine mechanics of you having CC, you have disengage, you have engage. If you have those 3 things within your comp, you're going to be effective.
Alright, looks like they go for the Harrower for their first pick. Generally, super solid laner. It's pretty hard to outlane Harrower. He's got a lot of free harass, and if he really needs to, he can stay at a really long range and use his wolves to attack, which, it's quite annoying to play against, and it was toned down recently, but it still gives him a lot of just reliable, good harass in lane and allows him to stay safe. So Harrower is one of those picks where they're definitely not going to be banking on winning the lane with Harrower in it, but they're not going to be banking on losing the game with Harrower in it. It could go either way, but generally it's going to stay around the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Harrower is a strong, viable bot lane pick when you don't have Rook on the board. So I think that was kind of a strategic ban of the Rook, and kind of knowing that they possibly wanted to run Harrower and more than likely in the bot lane. Harrower does fairly well against other heroes, but Rook is kind of one of those heroes that is really able to kind of counter that Harrower and put a hurting on him in that lane.
All right, one last pick. I'm trying to think of what it could be. Do you have any ideas? Or one last pick for new team anyway.
So
So they need their
new
support,
team,
right?
more than likely, new team will possibly run a Tinder Trixie. I'm willing to bet that those are the two supports they might go with. However, some of their players don't run those heroes efficiently, so they may pick more of a comfort pick, like the Shank
Ooh.
pick.
All right, so we will see a Shank. You mentioned before in the first game when we saw a Shank, or maybe that was the second. I'm not quite remembering, but we did mention, or you did mention that Shank is it just sort of fills a niche, but isn't a full straight-on tank that you can use. But he's got good pick potential and whatnot. How do you think he works with new team's comp? Is it purely a comfort pick, or is there some super awesome thing that they're planning to do with it?
So they do have a lot of pick potential with the Shank in his ultimate. Shank is also a very strong bruiser, and he can, if you build him tanky, he has a lot of innate stuff within his kit to be able to sit there, kind of beat your face in. He has that attack speed. He has the increase of his magic armor and armor based off of his successive attacks. So he is that bruiser role. They do have the Bastion to kind of hard engage with the Shank kind of running in and disruptive, beat your face in, maybe stop your kiting with that Everwinter charm style of build. So Shank definitely works in that bruiser role within new team's comp.
And it looks like PapaPls is going with a Hail, so it's possible that they're not going with the true AD carry. Otherwise, they'll be running Blazer with more of the AD carry style build, going for a lot of attack speed and whatnot. So overall, who do you think won out the picks and bans?
I would I would say that the band pick phase is more in Papa Please's favor, just because I do like the bow, the Claudessa, the Malady, and the Blazer. I like it all. It's a very good synergy. It's a very well-rounded comp, but I mean, they had a well-rounded comp last game too. So I'm interested to see if they can use what I think is a superior comp and be able to win this game with it.
All right, and how about the early game? Because that was one of the big aspects of last game was that uh, new team was able to edge it out early and just keep taking small advantages, and then suddenly, the other team or Papa Please finds themselves not a 9K gold behind rather than starting out at just 2K gold behind. So that really just snowballed off of their successful laning phase. So who do you think wins that early phase of the game?
So I'm assuming, this is just an assumption, that it's going to be a Shank Carter mid lane. And Shank Carter is a viable comp. The only problem is Shank Carter doesn't work that great against a hard engage comp. I think that all these matchups right now are skill matchups, and anyone can win any lane, either top, mid, or bottom. So it's really going to rely on the players, the way they play their lane, and the way they trade efficiently is really going to be the deciding factor of who wins this early game.
And remember, guys, to check out WT Fast. Very good program there, and they are sponsoring us. And that's basically a program that allows you to stabilize your ping. So a lot of times you'll be playing a game, and you'll have 100 ping. You can get used to 100 ping. You can also get used to 20 ping and whatnot. What you can't get used to is when it switches between 80, 100, 200 on a regular basis, and WT Fast is a program that allows that to be much more stable. So go check them out, and they're great guys.
So I actually used WT Fast all of last season of SPL. And if you don't know, I play from Hawaii, and I used to have to play on USD servers, which is just as far from Hawaii to play on USD servers as it was for Europeans to play on USD servers. So I had to be able to use a program to help stabilize my ping, because I did have a huge fluctuation in ping spikes. So it made it very easy to learn how to play with a higher ping than what I'm used to. So WT Fast worked for me, and I'm actually not trying to sell the product. I am just telling you my own personal experience.
Alright, and we are in game now, so we're just waiting on one person who is at IMBS to load just that little 4%. There we go. Alright, so we are in game, so let's see what actually happens in the game as well, because we haven't really seen anything happen at level 1, and as you said before, sometimes you can see people want to get scouting information in terms of who's going into what lane, because that is definitely a big part of winning your lane matchups. So it looks like neither team is really making too much of a push to gain that information. They're looking to capture their own sentry towers and just go to lane.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen anybody go for an early Baldir or any of those shenanigan strats, since there aren't any jungle buffs to be picked up. Buffs for teams to go in and steal. Are there, could you go searching around for a treasure chest camp early on and try and steal that, or did the camps just not spawn soon enough to pull a play like that?
He might not be.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think he may have stepped away momentarily. Yeah, I don't think that you can pull those kinds of plays, because we're sitting at about 5 seconds till brawlers spawn, and there are no camps. Hale waiting in the jungle to just keep vision control and see if anybody decides to roll by. And
right.
Brawlers have spawned, and nothing has spawned in the jungle yet. So clearly, there's no real jungle invading to be done.
I think it happens after they reach the mid lane, or maybe it's after they reach the top lane. I'm not sure, but either way, it just doesn't give people enough time to really make a play there. Ooh, Blazer getting some early poke down.
Yeah, I mean, the early Blazer tether is going to let her just aggress, to an insane degree.
So, in the top lane, we have a couple of trades going down in the bot lane. We have the Hale versus Harrower matchup, so a lot of poke harass possible from Harrower, and Hale's going to be able to win in terms of all-in engages, because that's what Hale is just good at. But we'll have to see how well Harrower can actually keep his distance and basically farm without putting himself in the threat range of Hale. So
it's actually really interesting to see the farm lanes kind of go in the mid lane. And I say farm lanes because relatively your ADs are your farm lanes. However, both these compositions between the Bow Blazer and the Bastion Featherstone have the ability to kind of all in and kill each other. So it's very interesting. Typically, you'll see a kill lane in the mid lane, and the main reason for that.
Top Shank is going to go down. Malady and Claudessa picking up that kill.
Malady and Claudessa have some really, really good lane synergy together, because if either of the two land their CC, the other one can almost always follow up on it, and there goes a return or a second kill up in that top lane, and they only landed one or two of their abilities. Claudessa didn't even need to land.
Meanwhile, in mid, nice snare in by the Blazer onto the Featherstone. Both follows up with the stun, and Blazer is going to pick up that kill, turning onto the Bastion. They do a little bit more damage, but are going to be forced to back off. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Harrower going deep onto the Hale. He's going to have to dash away. Almost got picked up there.
Yeah, action all around the map early game, and most of it's going in favor of PapaPls. They're already spiking ahead just a little bit in their GPM, and let's see how well that can continue into the late game. So, in terms of level 6, is New Team going to have a little bit of extra oomph once their champions hit level 6 over PapaPls?
I would say PapaPls' top lane has a very large advantage as far as Malady hitting 6 and the Claudessa kind of being there. If Claudessa lands a hook at any point in time, it's easily followed up by the Malady just all-in burst. So the top lane, level 6, definitely goes to PapaPls.
Alright, how about the mid lane? Is that basically the same story there?
I would say in the mid lane it's fairly even. as far as all in level 6.
Yep, so it looks like just all around the map, people going back to farming, a lot less aggression than we saw at the very beginning of the game. And part of that's probably just new team realizing, alright, we should
Oh, that aggressive dash forward by Bastion may have been the end of him. In comes the tether, down comes the stun, one more basic attack. Blazer needs to dash forward, she uses that bounder dash, picks up that kill, turning onto the Featherstone, a little bit more damage. No, they're going to back off there and continue to farm. And that's another kill going over to Blazer. This Featherstone and Bastion combo kind of getting beat on.
Yeah, that's something that's unfortunate about Bastion, is that his CC forces you to go pretty much YOLO, go ham. If you miss it, you're going to be dashing farther than you would have expected to dash. You don't stun anyone, so they can return fire as soon as your dash ends. And that's basically what we saw right there. He missed the dash and just took way too much damage off of it.
And again, taking a bunch of damage. Out comes the bow throw. A little bit more damage from the Blazer. He's going to hit onto the Featherstone. She misses out that Q. But they're going to be able to continue to harass and probably keep the gold advantage. Haven't been able to check that just yet.
And Borolemon, as well as a few other players, Claudessa and Bo, have all gotten their Elder Stones, so they're going to start stacking tankiness. Nice dash.
Yep, dashing in on top of the Bastion again, and down comes the stun. That's another kill going over to that Blazer, and she lived! That was impressive. I'm surprised that she made it out of their life. She needs to turn around. They can't keep re-engaging. Out comes the bow throw. In comes the tether. They can keep engaging. One more attack, and that's going to be a triple kill in favor of this Blazer. Not a triple, but she's up 3 kills, 1 assist.
Meanwhile, in the top lane, we have a little bit of a skirmish as well, but it looks like that's going to be cleared out. But we saw Bo just like body blocking Featherstone that entire time and not letting him get close enough to get that last auto attack.
I was actually just going to say that the mechanics that just happened in that fight in the mid lane were on point. The fact that he was actually able to body block Featherstone from getting that last auto in and kind of saved his Blazer's life, allowed his Blazer to get that pot and hit the health pot, get a little health, and kind of re-engage that fight to end up in a double kill for PapaPls.
Bo was looking to rotate up towards the top lane, but new team was pushed way back under their tower, so there's not much he can do. Mid lane, a little bit another engagement.
Yeah, that is going to be the missed snare and ultimate out of Bo. So, you know, they missed the snare from the Blazer and the ultimate from Bo. That's going to result in no play. That probably would have been dead Bastion or Featherstone had more of that landed. Malady looking to sneak around. She seems to be rotating towards something. Yeah, no, she's going to start to rotate in towards the middle lane, so we'll see how they decide to pull this engagement. Bo, use the bow throw, is looking to step forward. Malady now waiting in the bush. Oh man, I would be careful if I were that Featherstone. She is going to go in, misses the knockup though. They do get a lot of damage down onto the Featherstone, and a nice ultimate in from the Bastion, plus the combination dash is going to result in a huge pickup for new team as they shut down the Malady in the middle of her gank. Meanwhile, up in top lane, a lot of damage, pressure down on the Claudessa. Nice snare. Out comes the rocket from the Carter. A little bit more damage there. They should be able to pick her up. That's going to be another kill going over to new team. Bo was looking for a possible rotation, but isn't going to find anything. Blazer is invis, but I don't think she's going to pick this fight just yet. Bastion may be a little bit out. Actually, out comes the bow throw. In comes the snare. He is going to try and dash away, and will get far enough away to get himself out of trouble for the moment.
Yeah, new team doing a very good job of showing that they are definitely not out of this game yet, picking up a kill mid and then top off of that as well. It's just very good counter ganking abilities, and you know, Malady took a little bit too aggressive, and it looks like another engagement in the mid lane. Let's see what they can do with this.
Stun onto the Bastion. Out comes the bow throw. A nice auto attack from the Blazer. She was able to get that charged up one and land the kill. So Blazer, kind of scary. Already has a lot of power stacking up very, very quickly.
Definitely. So far, what have you seen, Lake, that is letting PapaPls dominate this early game? Like, obviously, they're playing their lanes really well, but what specifically have you noticed that really gives them the edge here?
Well, it's the fact that the Bo Blazer lane is extremely a strong lane. It needs to be respected, especially at a certain point. At level 5, that's when I think the Bo Blazer lane really excels in getting those kills, and that's like the power spike. Level 2 and level 5 are like the big points within the the composition where you need to kind of respect it a little bit, and they're just going in it, and as you can see in mid lane right now, just kind of going in at will and ready to set up those fights. So I think that's what PapaPls is doing right now. They're pushing the pressure that they have with the composition, and they're making new team pay in the mid lane.
Malady looking to make a play up here in the top lane. Claudessa gonna step forward. Instant deterring rocket coming out from Carter. She's going to be able to dash for enough a way to get out of trouble there. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, it looked like they were going to make an engagement, but I think Bastion has learned his lesson and is not going to step up as far.
Yeah, Bastion has died quite a few times, just missing his stun and just basically overextending for it. Blazer looks like she's going to try to come towards the top lane with an invisibility. This could be huge.
Blazer walking her way in, waiting on the edge. I think, she needs to land this snare, is going to get the snare down onto Shank. Shank goes with the dash, tries to get the chain under the tower, but she's going to get destroyed. Nice combination, perfect tanking coming out of that Claudessa. Those should be able to hold things off in the mid lane, and this may be a 3v1 push onto the Carter, who does have a little bit of mana, but is a little low. If he lands some nice rockets, they are going to get juked out. I'd be careful if I were that Claudessa. She's getting very low. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Boat trying to fend them off, is trying to bring down as many of the minions as possible, and takes a little bit of harassment for his trouble, but that'll be fine. Top tower is going to go down. That's going to be an advantage for PapaPls.
PapaPls' rotation game is already pretty on point. Blazer coming up to that top lane was at a really opportune time where she could really make sure she could make plays happen, but they're going to be overstaying in the mid lane.
Beautiful ultimate out of Bo. He didn't have the combination stun to follow up with that. That's going to be ultimate coming out of Bastion. He's going to get the advantage. Nice snare in by this Blazer. A little bit more damage. They'll be able to pick up the kill. Featherstone should be able to get away. Slowed down the Malady, although she's going to continue to chase. The Bounder slow comes out. The Claudessa's Q is there. And that is going to hook Bastion right back in. Meanwhile, a little bit lower. Hale starting to get chased. Can they get any slows on him? Doesn't look like it. Claudessa looking to rotate in towards to be able to help defend this middle lane. And that is going to be a one kill pickup onto the Bastion. PapaPls continuing to hold their advantage.
Yeah, really good counter rotation there by PapaPls. I was actually worried a little bit with the rotation being in a 3v1. Carter's a pretty strong hero to kind of hold that off. And I thought he was going to hold off long enough for new team to get that mid tower. But they were able to get it down just in time to get a good rotation down. Bo had a huge ultimate, knocked him right into that tower, got that mini stun off because he made impact with the map. And then the Blazer was just short of mana from being able to tether and kind of follow up on that. But they did end up getting the kills and kept that mid tower alive. So really good play by PapaPls.
Looks like the focus of PapaPls is turning towards the bottom half of the map. They're sending all of their characters mid or bot. Meanwhile, Shank is in the top lane. Looks like he's actually going to start rotating down. So with this decision, they're really going to want to try to make something happen when they gank the mid lane. But it looks like, no. PapaPls realizes that Shank is gone and they just sort of back off from that. Meanwhile, bot, we might see a little bit of something happen, but so far people are just going to hang out, see what they can do. Bo is around though.
Yeah, Bo may look to rotate in. I think that he would have been better off staying mid. That tower is going to go down. Malady going to throw out Tornado. That'll slow them down a little bit, but isn't going to deter them from taking that turret. And they should be able to continue their push.
Oh,
yeah, there's a lot of farm in
Terror
that top
getting
lane.
caught out by Hale ultimate, and just barely almost dead. No, not quite going to get the kill. It looks like they will be safe for now.
Oh, but Bo wants a piece of this. He's going to go in with the dash, pops his ultimate, isn't able to follow things up, lands the bow throw, but it's not enough to slow them down. They should be able to transition more onto the turret. Meanwhile, PapaPls new team is taking Baldir, so keeping up as much as they can in terms of gold. Oh, but that is going to be a dead Featherstone as the collapse comes in. Nice combination from Blazer. She's going to pick up that kill, and it's going to be Baldir. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, the fight is not over. Claudessa going on top of the Bastion along with the help from the Malady. Can Bastion get away a little bit more? One or two more basic attacks. Looks like he's going to get out of there. Now King Carter finish up and get any kills here. He's low on mana, dodges out the Q from the Claudessa, and whoa, I don't know how that happened, but Bastion did fall.
Malady has
Bits?
the bat, yes.
Bits.
So that's
Bits, you jerk.
that DOT is going to be able to save them there. And actually, one thing that's really important to point out there was the Malady wall. it was very, very huge in making sure that it walled this entire area off, so Carter and Shank couldn't actually get close enough to follow up on Bastion. Very, very good play by Malady over there.
Yeah, it's fun to watch players of this caliber kind of play, because you'll see just really good micro and mechanics as far as the way, like, intricate spots of where they wall and the exact timing of when they use their skills. So
yep, that's
we have a bit of
strong. But
rotation into mid lane. Bit of rotation in mid lane, but up top is where it looks like there's a fight that's about to happen. Malady misses the wall. The Q is going to miss out of Claudessa. The rocket is going to start to track onto Malady, so the Carter rocket, that'll slow them down. A lot of damage coming out of Carter, but they're still chasing this Shank. A little bit more damage. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, it looks like Bastion is looking for a play. He is going to hit the hail. Does a good chunk of damage. Both throws out the bow through to slow them down and zone them out. Nice snare coming in from the Blazer. That'll turn Featherstone away. And now the rotation in from the remaining members of PapaPls to start pressuring this middle tower. This has been a very, very bloodthirsty Malady. We'll see whether or not she dives. All the members from PapaPls stepping up, doing damage to the tower. The Harrower has rotated up into this lane, and now they're turning their attention onto Bo. A lot of damage there. Nice stun out of the Bastion. That's going to result in Bo having to bring him out of the fight. Malady going very, very low. She's going to get picked up, and real good play by this Featherstone, who's starting to cut through these tanks. One more auto attack onto the Bo, and she'll pick him up, but the Blazer has been doing work herself. Featherstone looking for one more kill, is getting chunked on by the hail. It's going to be the Shank who picks up that kill, and now Harrower is left to 2v1 as Hail and Blazer should be able to clean him up if they have enough mana. No, they're going to manage to they're going to turn off, and Harrower will get out of there alive. But the fact that they were able to close down onto that Featherstone really slowed down the play from New Team.
That was an absolutely bloody fight, and I have to say Featherstone was really one of the big turning points in that fight as well. He was the one who sort of made that fight, I wouldn't say worth it, because they still lost more members of their team and a tower, but he definitely stopped the bleeding. It wasn't as bad as it could have been, and it's mostly because of Ilslick's play on Featherstone. He was able to take down a lot of people. Oh my god, they are going to be starting to sneak a Sendara. It doesn't look like PapaPls knows anything about this.
no, I think this is going to be a completely uncontested Sindara. I think at this point they definitely didn't expect it. It's 15 minutes in. Yepper's going to check, and he scares him away with the hook, and they got a free Sindara. Really good play there. Hopefully they can use this to get kind of back into the game, because right now PapaPls does have the advantage going into this mid game.
Yeah, and especially since the gold difference isn't big enough, and if we look at the gold graph right here, it's only sitting at around 4,000 gold, so that's not quite a big enough gold gap for them to say, alright, even if we have Sindara, we can't take a fight off of that. But having Krytos pushing down a lane is something that they can still take advantage of. It's something they can still capitalize on. If they were much farther behind, then it wouldn't really help them get back into the game all that much, because you send it mid lane, you try to siege the tower, and you all die anyway. That's something that just doesn't benefit them very well, but they're going to want to watch out for the engagement.
Yep, a lot of damage coming down. Blazer is going to be able to pick up that first kill, turning on the Claudessa. She and Blazer are way too deep in the enemy team. The Malady is also very low. Blazer is going to fall. Bastion's going to pick up that one. Hail trying to get through, but he's being beat on by Krytos, and the hair where no one focused him. He was able to run complete. He had free reign over that map. And a slow is almost going to hit that bow. That's going to be a 1 for 2, and they were able to keep Krytos alive. And that was the big key. That was the key there, that Krytos wasn't taking any damage. It was pretty much just dishing out free harassment onto a lot of those squishier characters.
Yeah, that's one of the big things about that fight, is that people really... Blazer needed to watch out for her positioning, because I believe there are... there are 2 Everwinter Charms. Is that what it's called?
Yep, Everwinter Charms.
Yep, over on the side of New Team. So if Blazer and Hail decide to go in, those can really mess up whatever engagement they try to pull. So that was actually really good for New Team to take advantage of that positioning error, where Blazer and Hail actually just dashed in a little bit too far.
Yeah, at this point, this game is just completely, in my opinion, even. However, PapaPls does have the GPM advantage, and they've been sitting on the GPM advantage for the past, about 9 minutes now. So they do have a slight lead, but as far as the comps go, I feel like any fight can go in any team's favor. It just depends on execution.
Definitely, and we're going to see a possible fight right here if Bastion can find his engagement. Does not look like he found any opening that he wants to take. They're going to back off, set up for another engagement. Blazer is still in the bot lane, so they do have a one-man advantage. However, they're going to have to go quickly, otherwise Blazer's going to be able to start pushing bot lane and force someone away. Doombush? Are they doing it? They're doing it. Doombush.
They're thinking about it.
Ooh, nice rocket, though.
Yeah, no, it was a good job on them to check that. Harrower seems to have an idea of where this Blazer is hiding. He isn't going to dash forward to find her. They did kind of waste that Syndara, so new team's going to need to be careful about how they take their next engagement.
Absolutely.
Yeah, PapaPls, they're definitely relying on their Malady and their Blazer to kind of go in and use their stealth to kind of get the picks that they need, and then immediately followed up by that, be able to use people like Hale and Bo. Yeah, there's just not enough to follow up on it. It's just PapaPls' comp is very good in the fact that they can just stealth in, get the picks they need, and have Hale and Bo just follow up immediately on by just doing a full team dive and just kind of locking down the rest of their team. Because essentially, once you start to get those stealth hooks, knock-up stuns, whatever the case might be between Blazer and Wow, and they're getting that ball deep. But
oh no, do they know he's there?
Oh, Bastion, he's going to get caught out. A lot of damage coming in to back him up. He's still not down, so this could actually turn pretty well for them. Bo is going to be destroyed instantly. Out comes the ultimate from the Hail, and that's going to be a lot of damage coming out of Carter. It depends on whether or not they can turn and focus him. Can they bring down this Blazer? There's a lot of damage out of Harrow. One more basic attack. He's going to get her. There's going to be double kill for Blazer. Shank is going to get out alive, and that's going to come out to an even trade despite the Bastion being the one to be caught out, resulting Carter getting out of there alive. So, better team fight for the side of new team than I would have expected.
Yep, Bastion's definitely getting to the point where he can tank out a lot of things.
Whoa,
tons
Malady.
of damage right there. Malady almost dying to that poke alone. But yeah, Bastion's hitting that point where if you decide to focus all your efforts on him, he's still going to be able to stay alive for quite a while before until the rest of his team can start doing damage to everyone who's attacking him, which is a really strong point for Bastion in the game. And for new team, that engagement would have been so much better had the Hail ult not hit what was it, 3 or 4 members of their team. So like just slightly better positioning, and they could have really turned that fight around so far in their favor. But we'll see what happens towards the end of this game as they're going to be starting to set up for a push mid.
So I really want to see new team pick up a Hexbane here. I feel a Hexbane is going to be really crucial in the fact that they need to be able to kind of CC
right onto Claudessa. That's going to be a lot of damage. They're going to bring her down pretty much instantly. Now into the back line, Bo is trying to keep that Carter busy. He's doing a lot of damage, but Carter is able to do a lot right back to him. Featherstone was there to back them up. That's going to result in 3 dead. They picked up Bo and the Malady on the back end of that fight. This could be really bad for PapaPls. Harrower dashing forward is going to start to do a little bit of damage to the tower. They're going to have the Bastion there as well. Can they follow up for the stun? It's going to be just a little bit outside the tether range, but it's still going to be the Blazer going down, falling up on top of the hill. Nobody has gone down. Double kill for the Harrower. He transforms through, gets a little bit of extra health and damage, and that's going to be the Syndara.
Nice job right there. And you see that they already learned from their mistakes in the last team fight. As soon as they all jumped on the Claudessa after the hook pick was made, they instantly were completely mindful of their positioning. They had really good multitasking micromanagement, and they were able to dodge out a lot of the skill shots, including Malady's
Alright,
Q.
in comes that Claudessa. She's going to pop her ultimate. It's going to be whether or not the Malady lives through anything, and that's going to be so much damage coming out of the hair where the Featherstone is still alive. They're going to bring down Bo, or not Bo, they're going to bring down Claudessa and the Bastion as well. as Malady going to get zoned out of that fight. Now Bo looking to do what he can. He's going to get off a nice ultimate there. Who's going to pick up the Sindara? I couldn't actually tell. Double kill for the Blazer. This could be turning bad for PapaPls. They are able to pick up the kill. Lag trying to get out of there. Gets the speed boost by transforming into the beast version of Harrower. Can he transform back and get the slow before the snare is there? No, it's going to be the snare. And Hale is going to pick up that kill. They did get the Sindara on the side of New Team, but they did give up the full wipe to PapaPls.
New Team was put in a really odd situation right there after having already started the Sindara, because they disengaged it for a little bit, and at that point Sindara's aggro reset, so either team could take it. Now their two options were to either to back off, and if they'd have backed off they would have let PapaPls have the Sindara, or they could have attacked it again, which is exactly what they did. They drew aggro to their team so that PapaPls couldn't steal it, and they lost a bunch of heroes in that team fight, so it's a little bit of a hard position they were put in, so we'll see what they can do with the Sindara as to whether or not it was a good decision.
Yeah, they're going to need to push with it, which I think is one of the reasons they sent it top lane. They want to get it away from the main fight for a little while.
Yep, so
yeah, if they sent the Krydos in any other lane, it just would have been a wasted Krydos. The wave was pushed against them.
The engagement from behind Bo into the middle of the back line of the enemy team. They do a lot of damage to him. Nice rocket out of the Carter is going to slow him down. Featherstone cutting through everybody is going to bring down the Hell. Blazer is trying to get through that bastion. She finally does, but it doesn't really matter as Malady is very, very low. She's going to get picked up by the Harrower. The remaining members are going to continue the chase. Speed boost from the Shank is going to get them a little bit closer. I don't think they're going to be able to get the Blazer, but they've rotated in with the Krydos, who's pushing out this lane. There's going to be the snare, and that's going to slow them down just a little bit more. Only Claudessa and Blazer still alive, and that's going to result in at least a tower, possibly the generator, if they can push this fast enough.
Yet New Team might as well have had a Hexbane that fight, because even though they didn't actually have the item, as soon as Hale jumped in, he was rendered pretty much useless by the amount of CC and peel. Hook just barely misses. The amount of CC and peel that New Team has. They're going to try to fight back a little bit. Doesn't look like they're going to go for the generator, but they did pick up quite a big advantage off of that fight. So really good play over by New Team, and as you saw, PapaPls just couldn't get into the back line. All of the teams that PapaPls has, all the team fights that PapaPls has won, it's been them diving on top of Carter and killing Carter, or diving on top of Feder and killing Feder.
Oh, Shank, I don't know if you want this fight, buddy. Shank uses the speed boost to try and get away. Isn't he going to get snared up by that Blazer who is invisible? Down comes the Sarah. The Blazer is going to get that. The rest of his team is there. He's going to get the hook back on the Blazer. So much damage, and now Featherstone is laying into that bow. A little bit more damage. Gets off some of the splash. They got to bring down the Claudessa and keep the Featherstone alive. He's still there. They should be able to slow down the kill. Nice stun out by the Bastion is going to take him down. They do lose Featherstone, but that was a really good defense under bad situation, and I think this Bastion may want a little bit more.
Yeah, really good play there. The Blazer was a little out of position, and the Shank was like, hey, if you're going to catch me, I'm going to try to counter-engage by hooking you and jumping back into my team. And his team was right there to follow up. So really good play there by Shank. Probably a very good micromanaged play. He was actually able to land the hook on the person he wanted to and then pull them back in to almost get instantly blown up. So good play.
And if we look at the gold graph right here, it was for the longest time in favor of PapaPls, but it's actually switched over to New Team now. New Team has just a slight gold advantage, just about 1,000, but it's marginally better than the 5,000 behind that they were earlier, so really good job by them to get back into the game.
Yeah, they've also picked up 2 Hexbanes, one onto Bastion and one on the Shank.
Oh yeah, those Hexbanes are really going... Actually, they have 3. Carter has one
3.
as well. Damn, they're going to be able to shut down anyone who tries to dive in. Now, the one thing that we actually haven't mentioned at all during this cast so far is the item creation system, or the item building system. Basically what you can do is, you can make any active item basically worth it for your character. You can make it build out of power, you can make it build out of health, you can make it build out of
the
whatever.
hook in onto the Hail. He is going to get off the ultimate, but he get instantly blown up. The question is whether or not that Blazer snare was enough. Featherstone is in the back line, destroying the bow. He's going to turn on the Claudessa, and Bastion again was able to just defend forever. That was an amazingly well put together play. It's going to be a lot of damage down onto this Carter. Huge heal from the Claudessa onto the Blazer, and his oh my god, it all depends on how much this Featherstone can stay alive. He's doing a really good job of cutting down their power. He needs to avoid shooting the Claudessa, has to focus on the Blazer. Nice shot out of this. Carter is going to bring Blazer really low. She's not going to go down just yet. 1 or 2 more basic attacks. Claudessa comes in and slows down that play, pops that Winter Charm, and 1 more basic attack onto the Blazer. She's going to go down. Nice combination play between the Carter and the Bastion, and I think 1 or 2 more rockets out of this Carter could bring down this Claudessa. They're going to retreat because the last thing they need to do is pick a fight after winning it.
Still, bloodiest fights ever. This game has been back and forth all the time, and there's still no person who's decisively taking these team fights. You know, they had a good initiation catching out the hail, but I feel like for the most part they didn't. This time they just didn't have as much defense for Featherstone and Carter. So even though they didn't die straight off, they had to worry more about their positioning rather than doing damage, and that was one of the biggest reasons they weren't able to get as many kills out of the fight as they would have liked. So PapaPls going for a Baldir now.
Yep, rotating onto this Baldir. New team looking to follow up. They've got Heroin, they're doing a little bit of damage. He transformed into range form, and now they're starting it out for themselves. They should be able to pick that up pretty quickly. Shay throws a hook over the wall just to see if he caught someone who was sneaking around. Featherstone's in the mid lane farming up, so he'll be getting towards some 1 or 2 more scary items. Got that Demon Fang, got that Zealous Blade, 1 or 2 more items, maybe his Mystic Dagger, and he'll be pretty dangerous. Now rotating right over to Sindara. A full team rotation from the side of new team, and that's gonna be the Blazer Snare onto the Harrower. Instant Hexbane, that might have been premature. The rocket comes out from the Carter, and it's gonna follow up with a huge amount of damage. Down comes the healing totem from the bow, and the hook from Claudessa does not land onto Featherstone. This may have been bad for new team as Featherstone has popped his ultimate, and that's a lot of potential damage already gone. Can the Bastion set up a really nice play? The hook is gonna land all right on the Carter. He's gonna get snared up. They may still be able to do a lot with this Harrower, and Featherstone turning on top of the Blazer. He's going to try and pick them up. Shank throws out the hook. It doesn't land anywhere. They are slowing continuously onto this hail combination. Can they bring him down? A little bit more damage down on the Blazer. She's so low, and Featherstone again is left to his own devices. Malady is going to go down to the Featherstone. He'll pick up that one. That should be Sindar, and again, it's going to be new team picking up an amazing team fight by microing their carries out of position, out of the line of fire.
These fights, I'm having so much fun watching just the small micro skill that's happening within these fights. People just small amount of skill shot dodging to getting out of range, hitting health pots, just staying alive, avoiding damage, kiting. It's just so well coordinated as far as the skirmishing is going from PapaPls and new team that it's awesome to see the skill level between 2 teams when they duke it out, and the fact that each fight is only going in the favor of certain teams because of the way that they're micromanaging their heroes. It's just amazing to watch.
Yeah, I'm also seeing some really good shot calling out of both teams as well. New team in that last fight had a really good just overall fight where they said, all right, kite back, kite back, kite back. Let us regen a little bit. Let's get Feder into a good position so that he can start just shooting everyone who comes near him. And they managed to do that. They managed to kite away, and they also managed to focus really well. In that very last battle where it was a 4v4 with everyone at low health, they focused down 2 of the targets. They weren't necessarily the squishy targets, they weren't the highest priority targets, but they were the targets that they knew they could get, and as such, they forced a 3v2, they forced a 4v3 and then a 4v2 afterwards by picking up a couple of kills. But now Kratos is pushing mid lane, but it looks like PapaPls is going to try to force things to happen bot.
Yeah, they want to get things away from the Kratos now onto the bow. A little bit more damage. Stun comes out of the Bastion. They're chunking him very, very low. Bow is not going to be able to get off of his full combo. He does actually push the entire carry line backwards. Now, meanwhile, Bastion and the Shank in the middle of the fight. Can they get on top of a single target? Malady is going to dash away. That is going to be the Featherstone picking up the double kill. The hook back in from the Shank. That's going to be the triple kill. That would have been the quadra kill, but the stolen away by the Harrower. And Blazer is going to run with her tail between her legs. GG is called. And that is going to be new team taking it 2-0 against PapaPls. They're going to surrender, and I had no idea that the game was going to turn out like that.
Yeah, like if you look at the gold graphs, it's basically started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Now we're here.
Yeah. Like just look at the graph. Like they started off pretty poorly actually. Like they weren't doing too well, and then suddenly they managed to come back into the game with great shot calling and great team fights.
No, absolutely. Like I said, I definitely didn't expect any of these teams to win 2-0 in this finals. I definitely thought it was going to be a split with a 2-1 victory by either team. Wow. Just the team fighting that I've seen over these past 2 games, just between both teams. Yeah, there was some missed ultimates by the bow and a few missed plays, but overall, by watching each one of these people play their heroes and micro them so well, it was just amazing and fun to watch.